This past Wednesday we marked World AIDS Day. And for me it's a time to remember my friend Tony, who passed away 12 years ago. And Tony and I met in, I believe it was 1986, and we knew from the get-go that he was HIV positive. So this wasn't something that came upon us and was a sudden shock. It was something that we just knew from the beginning. And because of the science of the time and his particular biology, we also knew that our friendship would be a limited one, time-wise. He wasn't going to be one of these people who was going to make it into the 21st century. But our friendship was just a friendship. And what he was this wonderful man with this great sense of humor. I'm still using his material today. And he could turn on a dime from being the most irreverent person to the most nurturing person. By the time his HIV status changed, and he had full-blown AIDS, and he was in a hospice center, he had lost everything. He had not been able to work for a year. His belongings were gone. His family and friends had mostly fallen away. He had nothing. He was just this little figure now, laying in a bed in the hospice center. But there was nothing in him, and maybe this was because he knew for 10 years what to expect. There was nothing in him that at the end of his life was counting all that had been lost. Instead, as a person of faith, he was just accepting this is his time to pass on. Now, I used to go visit him, and I would literally be buzzing with the dissonance of a busy life. I was still practicing law. I was in seminary. I did have friends. I did have bills to pay. I did have connections to keep. I did have. And all of this weighed upon me heavily. And I was the lucky one. And I would sit with him. And by that time in his life, there wasn't much for us to talk about. We would have some facile conversation. But even though both of us were people of faith traditions, we had never really built a rapport where that's what we talked about. We never talked about God. I simply said, if you ever want to talk, you know, I'm in my first year. I can give you a 1-year seminary. And he used it, but by and large, we would sit in silence. And I would just hang on to his hand. And that was it. And I noticed that whenever I would leave, that dissonance had gone away to be replaced by a sense of peace from what he had shared with me. Just the ability to sit with him, just the ability to hold on to that hand. And it occurred to me that there was this whole convergence of things, the particular home he was in, the caretakers, his personality, his sense of where he was in life, that created for me in that place a sweet spot where I was finally able to hear the richness and beauty of his message, which was, we are not our things. We are not our jobs. We are not what people think of us. We are not what we can do. And ultimately, we are not our bodies. We are something more precious than that. And for Tony, it was this beautiful creature lying in this bed. And his work in the lineage of John the Baptist was he prepared a path for me to see that, to experience God through that. And it's a lesson that I still struggle with all these years later. It is so hard, and I'm sure each of you can relate to that, to be mindful of that at all times. So however it is you use your voice, whether it's singing, whether it's speaking, whether it's caring for people, or just being with people, whether it is being in society in order to change it, to make this world a safer, more peaceful place for people so that they can experience peace. We are single voices joining a larger movement. And that larger movement is preparing that path, drawing people out of the self and in towards God. And when we're able to walk that path, then we in turn are able to make that way straight, that path clear for others. Amen.